Today I'm going to read two stories from the Spark Story Bible. The first one is the plagues. God gave Moses a big job. Moses had to stand up to a very stubborn king who was making God's people work as slaves. God told Moses to go to the Pharaoh and say, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh said, "No, I will not let God's people go." Pharaoh wanted the people to worship him, not God. So God used 10 ways called plagues to change Pharaoh's mind. God turned the Nile to blood. The river began to stink. Pharaoh watched the river turn red, knew his people could not drink, and Pharaoh still said no. God sent frogs to hop everywhere, even into the beds. Pharaoh heard his bakers scream when frogs jumped out of their breads, and Pharaoh still said no. God thought gnats might change Pharaoh's mind so the people could go free. Gnats swarmed people, goats, and cows. There was no place to flee, and Pharaoh still said no. Flies, thought God, will do the trick, and so God sent a zillion. Pharaoh's house filled up with flies. Outside there were 1,000,000, and Pharaoh still said no. God now struck down Pharaoh's herds. The camels all were ill. The donkeys, horses all get sick. His cows fell down, but still, and Pharaoh still said no. Oozy gooey, icky sores on everybody's skin. God knocked and knocked on Pharaoh's heart. Pharaoh never let God in, and Pharaoh still said no. Hail pounded, thunder crashed, Pharaoh's plants laid down. Not a tree stood anywhere, all were on the ground, and Pharaoh still said no. "Let my people go," said God, "or I will send a swarm of locusts to devour what's left, to do your land more harm." And Pharaoh still said no. Now darkness covered Pharaoh's land. The sun did not appear. No one could move, no one could see, still Pharaoh would not hear, and Pharaoh still said no. The last and saddest plague of all brought sobs throughout the lands. Parents cried as their children died. Finally, Pharaoh changed his plans. Pharaoh let God's people go. And I got so into the poetry there that I did not share all of the pictures. So there are the pictures of which plague? The frogs. And here is a picture of the hail. And here is the darkness. Next part of the story, the Red Sea. It was a long journey to leave Egypt. The Israelites camped on the shore of the Red Sea. The people were feeling really nervous. Moses squinted into the darkening sky. Had he heard something? Something in the distance? Moses shook his head slowly. He did not trust Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, to keep his promise. "Do you think Pharaoh followed us?" Aaron asked. Moses stood listening. "We will see," Moses said. "We will see." Moses didn't have to wait too long. Soon, a growing cloud of dust rose up in the distance. A rumble of horse hooves thundered toward the travelers. They could see them clearly now. Hundreds of Pharaoh's chariots charged towards them. Hundreds of soldiers followed with orders to bring the people back. So there's the picture of the night sky, and there are Moses and Aaron, and there's Pharaoh's army. "We're trapped," someone yelled. A strong wind began to blow. Cries went up from the people. "Moses," they shouted, "have you brought us here to die?" "Don't be afraid," Moses told his people. "Stand firm. God is with us." Moses gripped the staff in his hand. "Prepare to move out," he shouted into the wind. "Where, Moses?" Aaron said. "There is no place to go." "Through the Red Sea," Moses said. "God will make a way." Moses stood on the edge of the shore. He raised his right arm. He stretched his staff out over the white waves. The waters trembled and divided. The wild wind roared. Soon a wall of water stood on the left and the right. Dry land appeared between the walls. A safe path to the other side. "Move now," Moses ordered. How strange it must have felt to step onto the sandy path. How scary to feel the spray from the water waiting on either side. Would God save them? Would God keep the promise to Moses? In the morning, Pharaoh's army stood on the Red Sea's shore. And there's the water divided and the path of dry land in between. They saw the Israelites safe on the other side. Soon, chariots groaned and soldiers cracked their whips. Pharaoh's army moved slowly across the rocky and sandy path. "They will catch us," a young woman yelled. "Watch and wait," said Moses. Moses once again held his staff up over the walls of waves. Tons of water came tumbling down. Horses, chariots, and riders were all swept into the sea. From the safe shore came the sounds of singing and dancing, led by Miriam, Moses' sister. "Sing to the Lord," the Israelites shouted. "God has saved us." And there's Moses bringing the sea back together, and there's Aaron and Miriam singing and dancing. Okay, one of the most important stories in the Old Testament. Thanks for listening and watching.